It just hit me, y'all. So much of my life, I've been trading choices for stories. We accept the stories people tell us, and in exchange, we give up our choice to be different, to think different, to live different. The story ends up deciding how we show up, what we believe, even what we do on Sundays, and we don't even realize it. Wow. Can you relate to this? If you've been on this personal development journey like I have, then you've practiced affirmations and you've thought, these affirmations aren't working. Nothing's changing in my life. Then this might be the video you want to watch. Here's what I've learned, at least for me. You can say affirmations all day, every day. But if you don't adjust the background story you're believing about yourself, about others, and about the things you want, nothing changes. And I'm not just saying this because I've already achieved all of my dreams. I haven't built my dream house. I haven't won any 7, 8, or 9-figure cases. I haven't wrote a best-selling book. I'm just saying this because I caught myself running the old stories despite my daily affirmations about where I can live, what I can afford, who I can be, what I can have, and even who others are. What I realize is that the stories themselves were the block. They made the gap between where I am and where I want to be feel like a gulf I couldn't cross. But the truth, the gulf isn't real. Your favorite house in your favorite neighborhood might literally be just down the street. Once you drop the story, you see it clearly. There's no abyss between A and B. There's just the next step. And if you're like me, maybe your next step is learning how to drop the stories that create those abysses between who you are and who you want to be, between what you have and what you want to have. You can practice this 60-second story detox that I have here on the screen just before you say your affirmations daily. And even more effectively, is that if you can say this 60-second detox, these questions, whenever you notice the stories, the legitimate excuses running in your mind when you think about what you want and who you would like to be. Like when you catch yourself in the story of saying how difficult it has to be, or the story of who you have to become, and or the story of who others are, or the story of the blocks that seem to stand in your way. That's when you pause, breathe, and ask yourself these 3 questions. What story am I telling right now? What is the story costing me? And 3, if I drop the story, what choice remains? Let me kind of give you a real simple example, a very practical example. One of my clients came to me ready to get divorced. Her husband of 10 years, she said he was too demanding, that she felt voiceless in the marriage, and she was shrinking in the marriage, and she needed for him to change. And she didn't think he would, and she just hit rock bottom in her pain, and she was just ready to divorce. But we ended up doing some mental wealth sessions together, and during our mental wealth sessions, we uncovered this, that it wasn't him. It was the stories she kept telling herself in her marriage. The story that she was voiceless kept making her show up voiceless. The story that she was shrinking made her shrink. And it was the story she was believing about herself that was fueling her frustration and her pain. It was her story that made her hit rock bottom, not her husband or her husband's action or inaction. The story of being voiceless created resentment towards her husband, but she was the one telling herself that story. So we practice dropping the story. Instead of I'm voiceless, she started just speaking up. Instead of I'm shrinking, she just stood up. And the marriage shifted. Her husband didn't have to change first because she dropped the stories and showed up more sincerely. Now, let me make one point clear. Only you know what speaking up is for you, and only you know what standing up is for you, because only you can fix what you broke within yourself to have the relationship. Only you know what you compromised about yourself in the marriage or in the relationship that need to be adjusted. This is not something that you can defer to someone else. And here's the thing, when one person shifts, the dynamic has to shift. He couldn't keep treating her as voiceless once she began using her voice. He had to meet her differently. Now they talk, they laugh, they enjoy each other's company. On a recent vacation, they even said to each other, she told me, they said, we could have been living like this all along. You see, it was never a hard marriage. It was the story making her marriage hard. When she dropped the story, the choice for a better marriage appeared, and she took it. Divorce aborted. So remember these three questions the next time you find yourself in the story. What story am I telling right now? What is this story costing me? If I drop the story, what choice remains? And if you can't remember all three, just keep this mantra: drop the story, keep the choice.
If you click on my Stand Store link in my bio or scan the QR code, you can then have access to my Flow Daily Practice Checklist, a simple, powerful guide you can use every day to align your nervous system, connect with your own inner fulfillment, and become a vessel for what life is already bringing through you.
This is Sean Speaks.